I'm just a poor wayfaring stranger, while traveling through this world of woe. Yet there's no sickness, toil, nor danger in that bright land to which I go. I'm going there to see my Father. I'm going there no more to roam. I'm only going over Jordan. I'm only going over home. I know dark clouds will gather round me. I know my way is rough and steep, yet golden fields lie just before me, where God's redeemed shall ever sleep.
Today, the rolling hills of the Missouri Ozarks are dominated by forests and pastures. 150 years ago, this land supported a more diverse agriculture, one in which orchards and vineyards were common. One of Missouri's most famous vineyards was 7 miles east of Neosho, its location marked by this 19th century bluestone house. Behind this house stretched a 120-acre vineyard, the livelihood of John and Herman Jaeger, 2 brothers who immigrated from Switzerland and settled here in 1865. Several grapevines from this vineyard became foundational genetic resources of modern viticulture around the world. These plants were selected and bred by Herman Jaeger from native grapes that he collected in the surrounding wilderness.
These trees aren't that old, but there may have been other trees here. The walls on this old house are 18 to 22 inches thick. The house is still very straight, and the house is very close to the road. There's an old wagon road that goes right in front of the house, and this is where John lived and helped breed grapes.
So yeah, maybe longer. And there was just a big chunk of cement that they had poured, and it was probably about so high. And the press, the poles came up, on either side, and it set over that.
Hedge posts.
Hedge posts, because we have all these hedge trees. They were old hedge posts because they were so crooked and gnarly, and that's where the wine press was.
Wow.
Over that. But it was really neat.
This is the back of Herman's farm, and it's a little bit of a rolling hill, and this is where Herman's grapes would have been grown. And he probably cleared a lot of this land and then began to plant his vineyards here. Poop-eating cow. Or poop-eating cow. Consider that out.
John and Linda Smerdon own Herman Jaeger's property today. The Smerdons are not only stewards of his land, but also of its heritage. Today, they are helping grape geneticist Courtney Coleman collect vines that grow in a field that once belonged to Jaeger. Many of these vines have survived in gene banks around the world, but several have been lost during the past century. One of them is Jaeger's number 43, a wild vine that he collected in the Ozarks and used for breeding. This wild growth of post-oak grape became one of Herman Jaeger's favorite breeding stock. Coleman is hoping to find the original Jaeger 43 or its progeny still growing at this location. Since grapevines can live for well over 100 years, it is entirely possible that these plants were already growing here in Jaeger's vineyard 130 years ago.
How about the one that goes this way? Is there anything? So today we're taking some cuttings of this very old grapevine on Herman Jaeger's property. And we are planning to take these back to the greenhouse at Missouri State and root them. And once they have little leaves, we can test the DNA to see if they're the offspring of Herman Jaeger's grapes. So a lot of these branches are actually dead, so I'm doing a lot of cutting to find some good green live wood that will actually take root. And as you can probably see, this grapevine grows all the way up two of these trees. It's a huge ancient vine. Probably a lot of the green and live shoots are the ones that are at the very top of the tree. And since we don't have a ladder today, I'm just working with what we have in reach. It also could have been something that was cultivated at one point in time and then went back to the wild.
This is all live here.
It is until we test
Here's
it.
some live stuff. Do you want any of this?
Let's see. It is live. That's good.
Yeah. That's coming right out of the ground here.
This one here, the one that would be easy.
The GPS coordinates of the vine's location are recorded, and the cuttings are rooted at the School of Agriculture at the Mountain Grove campus of Missouri State University. Once the cuttings have rooted, they are planted in the greenhouse to allow rapid growth of the shoot system. Grapes can also be collected as herbaceous green cuttings during the summer, but rooting that plant material is more difficult. Another advantage of using dormant wood for propagation is that dormant buds contain flower clusters. Pollen from the emerging flowers can be used for cross-pollination.
As you can see, quite a few of these have the buds have started growing from the bottom. And there is a good root system developing. You'll notice here that Vitis rupestis roots easily in that type of media, whereas the other wild grapes, there's only, you just see very few roots have developed yet. This rooting characteristic of Vitis rupesta and riparian, they were used in the 1870s and 80s. Millions of them were shipped to Europe to be used as rootstocks.